That's how you're awake at night. You drink Red Bulls at night. Now we finally know.
Dude, I haven't had any caffeine in a long time, and I shouldn't say that, but all day today I haven't had any caffeine. So Leo, I got real sick yesterday, man. Like I took steroid shots in my lat, right? Both of my lats the night before, dude. Either like everything simultaneously creeped up on me, but like my body just was fucked up. I was in bed all day yesterday. I ate eggs in the morning, like when I woke up, and nothing else the rest of the day. Like I got flu symptoms, Leo. Like I got a knot in my lat, and I got flu symptoms.
Oh, interesting. So, so just for the audience to know, like there's something called a test flu. Sometimes when you run like a high dose of test, you feel like you got the flu, you feel lethargic, you want to sleep all day, and you sometimes will sniffle too and stuff like that.
Yeah, but Leo, I've had test flu before. Like I was actually sick, like where I couldn't eat. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, it was definitely something was wrong with me, like with my kidneys and stuff. So yeah, the test in Primo I'm fine with. The Proviron I'm fine with. But when I added in that trend, I think that kind of fucked me up a little bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, for the audience, the reason why I think we get test flu is because, like, your body has a high amount of foreign bodies inside it, and the immune system starts thinking you're being attacked. So it actually responds as if you have a virus or something. You know what I mean? So in your case, you have all the uremic toxins in the blood because your kidneys are not filtering very quickly. So you have a buildup of potential toxins. So your immune system might have taken what they call in COVID the cytokine storm. That might have happened to you. Yeah. And then
I think it was test flu, but it was exacerbated because of the my kidney issues for sure.
Yeah. So well, I'm glad that be honest.
I tell you what, they tell you not to take like NSAIDs or whatever, like
NSAIDs, yeah.
They say don't take any of those because your kidneys, like they say to stay away from them. And I don't. I usually stay away from them, but I was like, fuck this. And I took a leave, and dude, after I took the Aleve, I felt like 100 times better.
Ibuprofen is particularly toxic to the kidneys at high doses. Maybe, I think aspirin maybe a little bit.
I took Aleve.
I don't know what Aleve is though. I don't know what the.
It's like an NSAID.
They're all NSAIDs, but ibuprofen is particularly kidney toxic. But those things do, by the way, Bostin, is they usually inhibit COX. This is a pro-inflammatory gene transcription in the body, so it'll reduce your inflammation. But to be honest, Bostin, just for the audience to know, Bostin just recently started using PEDs again. Just recently, he started very low with Primo and equipoison tests, and he was like, I want red blood cells, that's all, and a little bit of energy. Then suddenly, a couple of days went by, and he's like, hey, I just saw some trend. I was like, where did this come from?
First, you have to say what happened with the EQ. True. The EQ started creeping up my system. Obviously, EQ is a long ester, so it took a couple weeks to get in my system, right? Yeah. So I started slowly upping the dose every week to see what I could tolerate. And last week, I had to cut it out completely because I was getting massive anxiety. And one of the most common side effects in a lot of people with running EQ is anxiety. I never had anxiety ever before my kidney issues, but I think now that I have kidney issues, it made the anxiety like crazy. So I could tolerate test and Primo, Proviron, and all that stuff. And then I added in the trend, just 37.5 mgs.
Oh, really?
And twice a week. I only did it twice.
Oh, you were doing the hex?
Yeah, I was. They're 1 point. Leo, these are Alpha Pharma 1.5 ml ampules. Yeah, so I was doing half an amp. Well, so 37.5 because there's it's 76.5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I was doing 3/4 of a cc, which was half an amp every other day. I only lasted 2 shots, and I'm like, I'm gonna try it again next week. But if I get sick, I'll know it's the trend.
Bro, honestly, I wouldn't. The trend we know is of all the injectables, the most kidney toxic.
Do you think it'll hurt the? Do you think it'll?
Yeah, for everything else.
No, do you think it'll cause anxiety?
First, I don't know if you're going to get anxiety from the trend because you've been weirdly invulnerable. For people that don't know, EQ, when I was like 22 and I took EQ, I didn't notice anything anxiety, no symptoms anxiety. When I was like 27, I started running EQ again, and I guess maybe because I got anxious in my mid-20s or something changed about my brain, but when I tried EQ in my late 20s, I was like, wait a minute, it's not like an intense anxiety, but it's like not everything's quite right. Like you feel like something's off.
Well, I have a good friend that has no kidney issues, and when he runs EQ, he will never touch it again. When he runs EQ, he gets like panic attack anxiety, and that's what I was getting. And I'm reading up about it, and I'm reading all over the internet that it's like common, but I never experienced that side effect until my kidneys.
So it's supposedly it's something to do with estrogen. we noticed that people who run EQ have high estrone, which is another kind of estrogen, but I don't know what the exact reason is. But let me tell you, for me then, when I use trend, the anxiety, like EQ's anxiety for me is like something's a bit off. Like not everything's right in the world. Then the trend anxiety is more like an urgent kind of anxiety, but it only happens to me if I use a higher, like 150 milligrams a day or something. I get an urgent kind of, I get a kind of like angst.
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
But that's at high dose. I don't know what would happen at low because I never honestly used.
I just want to know what got me sick. I think it's the lump in my lat from the shot.
You think encapsulated and it had like an inflammatory response?
Yeah,
maybe?
I think it had an inflammatory response for sure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it was only testing Primo.
How's the IV antioxidant regimen? Because for those that don't know, Boston's...
I did a month of that and then I came off.
No. But we were talking about the glutathione, NAC, and vitamin C.
Correct. So I did a full like 4 to 6 weeks of that in every day.
But you stopped now?
Yeah, I just did it for 4 to 6 weeks. I need to take a break of all the IVing.
Oh yeah, I know. But yeah, that's the problem. For me, hey, Blue, how you doing? Welcome. It's good to see you, brother. We were just talking about IV vitamin therapy because Boston, basically we're wondering like why him and Ariella haven't been able to get pregnant yet. And we were thinking that maybe the semen quality is lower because of the less antioxidant profile. So I was doing research for Boston, trying to see what are the standard dosing regimens for glutathione IV, NAC IV, and vitamin C IV. And I was surprised to notice that a lot of the dosing regimens for glutathione IV are over a gram, like a gram to 10 grams a day. And so then we realized that like the standard glutathione stuff that people get from HRT clinics, like 200 milligrams per cc. So it might not even be enough, really, to make a big difference IV. But Blue, tell us, how's Anakin, brother? How's his teething going?
It's going.
Has he got the front both rows in?
No, because right now, I mean, just the teeth are coming, developing and coming through. So nothing's pierced.
Okay.
It's just that, it's developing and growing in the tissue. So just, some irritation on and off, nonstop.
Does he look more like you or the wife?
What's that?
Does he look more like you or your wife?
I'll send you a pic.
Yeah, you haven't sent me a picture. I sent you a picture. You didn't send me a picture.
I got your pic right now. It's just, you guys know, I keep, my family stuff private.
No, me too. That's the thing, Blue. I don't even tell anyone my daughter's name, but I sent you a picture. You owe me a picture back, brother. Anyway, but
right now.
But guys, so we gotta we'll look at the picture. We got a lot of fun stuff to discuss this week. The first one is, I guess this is our episode before the Olympia, because I presume we're not gonna do an official. So
but me and you were gonna do one with Brent when he's at my house Friday night after prejudge.
Yeah, after prejudge and post show. We have to do two. Post show we're gonna do with Tony.
When do you want to do the post show one? Saturday night or Sunday morning?
I would prefer to do it Saturday night, obviously, because
whatever
quicker.
You want. Whatever you want.
We got to organize that. Tony Hughes will come. Larry Pollock will be there, and we'll get other people also.
Oh, so how are we going to do that? I thought, are they just going to do it there, and we're going to put it on your channel?
No, I don't know what Larry's going to do exactly, but Tony will come on the Zoom call with us.
Larry's wants to do one where and then he sends you the video so you can post it.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. I talked to Larry. That's absolutely. So just for the audience to know, Larry Pollock is going to be at the O, so he might interview some. What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing so bad, man, because of that whole shit with Ameen.
Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, we gotta tell the audience. We gotta tell you guys. So 3-4 days ago, I guess this is through Boston. Larry Pollock, who's been on the show before, good guy, he messages me. He's like, I talked to Boston. I'm gonna be at the O, and he's like, I could interview some people for the channel if you'd like. I said, that sounds great. He said, oh yeah, and he talked to me a bit. Then he's like, hey, I think we should also get Tony Hughes for the wrap up and Ameen Alai. And I was like. I was like, Ameen? Question mark? I don't know if I screenshot it for you, boss. It was really funny. I was like, Ameen? Question mark? Then he was like, yeah, I heard that you and Ameen are not getting along too well from Boston, but I think you should overcome that. He's close friends with Tony. You can get them together. I was like, I'm friends with Tony. I was like, bro, anyone who associates with Ameen is not welcome on my channel, period. But for the audience that doesn't know, like a few days
Tony was good friends with him, huh?
No, listen, a few days before this, so it gets worse. Sorry, I'm telling the story so badly. So Larry sent me these messages and I'm like, Larry, who told you to tell me about Ameen? He's like, oh, I messaged Ameen. Ameen told me that he's down to come on your channel. And I was like, bro, 4 days ago, Ameen sent my wife a threatening email. Literally 4 days ago. I'm like, why does this guy think everything's cool between us? He's like, if Leo's cool, I'm cool with him. Bro, you're sending emails to my wife. What are you doing?
Yeah, dude, so Larry told me that. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get Ameen and Tony Hughes on the post interview. I'm like, you do know that Leo and Ameen are like enemies, right? And I said, I would never want Ameen on the channel ever.
Oh,
and he was like, oh, really? He's like, oh, I don't know about that. But that was already after he texted you.
Oh, I thought it was before. That's hilarious. Yeah, that is really funny. So basically, Larry might film some videos there, but then Tony will be at the O2. He'll sign in on Zoom and we'll review it together. So he'll be there. Hopefully, Larry will go on Zoom too. Blue and Boss. Blue, if you're available too, we can do a wrap up together. Sound good?
Yeah.
In the meantime, a lot of stuff is going on right now. One of the most interesting things that's going on is so Nick Walker apparently posted some. This is on Buys and Tries. So Buys and Tries stirring up. You heard about this?
Yeah, Robby Robinson's always talking shit.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of Robby Robinson coming in?
Dude, that guy's such a hater.
But the thing is, you got to admit something about Robinson. I didn't realize this, but in the 80s and 90s, everybody wanted to have his physique. He was one of the inspirations for like what's his name, the 8-time Mr. Olympia before Ronnie Coleman, Lee Haney.
No, I know, but he's super bitter, man. Like, I mean, to be attacked, Nick is not the only bodybuilder he's attacked like that, though.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's done this to so many people.
It really made no sense because he's like, come back with a package that deserves the word muted, and this is literally mutation. Like, what are you talking about, bro?
It's like completely mutated, like with fucking chemicals. What is he talking about?
I know. But I tell you something, the weird part is Nick Trigilli made a video about this, attacking Robby, literally swearing at Robby directly and saying he's so negative and all that stuff. And the reason why, many people don't know Nick Trigilli, but he is the most negative human being I've ever known in private. So I saw this video and I was like, bro, you're jumping on the bandwagon. What's happening right now is anyone who criticizes Nick Walker is attacked as being a negative or jealous, like Bostin was last week. Bostin last week said almost nothing negative about Nick Walker.
I know, the whole video I'm like praising the kid, and they don't even watch the video, and they're all they see is Nick Walker in the headline, and they automatically think that I'm like trashing him.
I know you didn't at all. So anyway, I guess Trigilli realized that, so he's joining on the bandwagon and attacking these guys. Here's the list. Wait, no, there's one other thing I want to mention. Also, Shawn Ray did an Olympia review, which I found hilarious. Because Shawn Ray, whenever he takes a video, I don't know if you noticed this, Blue or Boston. Whenever Shawn Ray takes a video, wherever he is in the world, he appears at a hotel or a golf resort or a swimming pool in the background.
Yeah, I've seen that.
He's always trying to pretend he's on vacation.
Or like at a pool, like a fucking pool or something.
No, bro. It's like, I live in Irvine too. You're my neighbor. Which golf course was this that you went to film at? Why did you film at home, bro? That's so weird. Okay. Oh, the other thing is, we have to mention, apparently Chad replied to me a couple of days ago. I was telling Boston Blue. Chad hadn't replied to me for a few months. I wanted to have him on the show. We found out that apparently Chad was ill for quite a while, like deathly ill. So it may have some impact on Ramy and how Ramy's preparation went. So here's
he's living with Dennis now, though. So I think Dennis took over a little bit.
So here's the list. Yeah, you would think so, but let's go through them one by one. About Ramy, Chad said that Ramy didn't have an off season. He took months off lifting, apparently months, and basically they went straight into a pre-contest season. He says his goals were not for Ramy to get bigger, but just for him to get in a little bit better condition this year. And then next year he wants him to get bigger, he said. So
yeah, I mean, Ramy does look downsized in the videos I've been seeing.
Yeah, he looks much smaller, right? It feels
downsized. Like. Yep.
So what do you go? So what are you? So everyone's got a vote here. Now I think
we know that William Bonac is doing it. Nathan Diasha is probably not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
That Vlad guy at the bottom is not going to be able to make it.
Oh, really?
But Rolly is in the United States right now as we speak, so he's doing it.
Oh, is he? Interesting. The reason why I put Bonac in highlight is because some people were predicting that he might not make it too, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Nope, he's in. He's in.
Oh, he's in for sure?
It's official. He posted it.
Okay, before anything else, let's talk about the Walker bet. So Nathan Diasha is not coming, and personally, I thought Nathan Diasha would be top 5 for sure.
Is it confirmed that he's not coming? I heard he's still trying.
It's not confirmed, I think, officially, but I've heard from various people that he's not. So if he's not, do your bets continue?
Yeah, dude. I felt bad about it. Dude, I only have $350 on the line. It's seven bets. 7 bets. One of them's 100, and the rest are 50. So I mean, it's chump change. So I was going to call him off because I'm like that's not fair because my top 5 Nathan was in there, but if William is there and Rolly's there, I'll take the bet because I do think Rolly's going to beat him.
Good stuff. Okay, so where how do you see things going? Or Blue, do you want to give us your ideas?
I want to hear Blue's top 5 first.
What was the bet, Bostin, that you had going?
That Nick Walker won't be top 5.
But this is an old bet from 6 months ago or so, or a few months ago.
I would agree with that if everybody else was on.
So let's make I don't know how you guys want to do your predictions. I usually predict based on what I think is going to happen, not if everyone's on.
Okay,
but we could do if everyone's on because that makes more sense.
No, I want to know what Blue thinks was going to play down. If he had to pick, if he had to guess.
The Open has been so disappointing. Bostin, me and you have talked about it quite a bit. I mean, Nick is catching all these guys slipping because they're not conditioned. They're not,
and that's what it is, man. He smoked that show because he was the only one in shape.
Yeah, that's true. If all these other guys would come in the same conditioning, stop caring about what the scale says, how their shirts feel, how weak they feel walking around, if the rest of the guys would just say, fuck the scale and just go by the mirror, it'd be a completely different game right now. But I personally, out of everybody there, if everybody was 100%, I would like to see Hottie, take the whole thing. I thought he should have beat Ramy before. I like Hottie's physique a lot. That top 5, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I'm interested in who's actually going to be in condition 100%. The only person I'm confident, if my money was on the line, that who will be 100% condition-wise, I'll say Nick Walker. But again,
how about Hottie? Hottie's pretty consistent with condition.
Yeah. Besides Hottie, Brandon's usually pretty close to on. Rolly is off 90% of the time. I mean, Hunter's never been fully pilled and dry. I mean, Patrick Moore, if that guy had one freaky off season, he would be dominating everybody.
Yeah, that guy's afraid to put on weight or something.
Yep.
Wait, you talked about some interesting. Who did you talk about before Patrick Moore just then? Oh yeah, Hunter Labrada. That's what I was thinking, Blue. Is it just me, or do you think Hunter has less conditioning than his competitors Iain and Nick?
Generally? Horrible conditioning.
Oh, yeah. Right? His conditioning is horrible.
And his coach competes, and his conditioning is horrible too. They overeat. They post their diets and shit sometimes. They way overeat.
But his diet is really weird. It's like cornflakes and protein shakes.
They way overeat, Leo.
They eat weird stuff.
His coach is like his workout partner guy, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why weird, right?
Did you see his pictures from when he recently competed?
He did North Americans. He looked like fucking dog shit.
Looked like he was 12 weeks out.
And you know what he said? Blue, in a post? I'm not even kidding you. He made a post after the show saying he over dieted and did too much of the step meal, so he lost muscle.
What?
He said I'll send you the post. He said he over dieted.
Hey, we need to make a shirt based on that one saying we said a long time ago. No scones overturned.
Yeah, you came up with that for Gary Turner. You remember?
Hey, that's a good one. Actually, that's a good.
Let me share the backstory on that one. I wanted to roast Gary Turner hella bad, and Blue came up with this really good saying no scone unturned.
Yeah,
and
overturned.
I used that term right in the post, and dude, people were fucking dying. They fucking love that phrase.
There are a lot of good phrases. The Eurofic one is too. You need to start a merchandise company. Seriously. With just funny.
I'm the only one that gives people nicknames like Camp Creep, Cankles, and everyone knows who I'm talking about too. Like nobody even questions.
You're like Trump, actually, in that way. You give very good nicknames really quick off the fly. Anyway, Blue, you were saying about Hunter, and then you were talking about Moore.
Hunter, if that guy actually would get pilled and dry, he would be phenomenal. Patrick, one crazy off season of pushing, and I don't mean pushing gear, but I don't know what he does behind the scenes, but, actually trying to put on some serious size. I mean, his genetics and his structure and his muscle bellies, he would be dominating. But
just to mention to the audience, so Patrick is like in his late 30s, right?
I don't know how old he is.
Yeah, it's like mid 30s.
Yeah,
or so.
He's late 30s. Yep.
Yeah. And
the other guy who would stand out too, that has never been lean, is Hassan. I don't understand.
He would win if that guy was peeled, right?
If he actually came in peeled, he would look 20 pounds bigger than he does now, and he would look scary. He would look like he was photoshopped. Yeah. But the problem is Nick Walker's smart. He knows that his weapon is that everybody else is unconditioned, so he can come in and catch these guys slipping, and that's exactly what happened at the Arnold.
Kukla. Want to hear something funny? Everybody thinks Nick weighs a fuckload on stage, but when he won the New York Pro, I guess he posted he was like 247 or 248, and then for the Arnold he was only 250. People think he's like 265.
Yeah, no, he's smart. Me and you have talked about it, in regards to, Matt Jensen. It's a beautiful setup. You got two guys, him and Shawn Clarida and Nick Walker, that don't care what they weigh. They just want to be freaky pilled and catch people slipping. They get free coaching, free drugs, hands held, the whole works. And that's what you create.
Oh, Nick has everything for him now. He got a house. He got everything.
Yeah. And the people, all the other people that Jensen trains that look like garbage or they're in the hospital and they're paying their $500 a month. Those guys are the ones that are paying for the drugs for
them. Yeah.
Hey, Blue,
it's a beautiful scam.
We were talking about this last week, Blue. We were talking about the interesting look between Shawn Clarida's muscles or the similarity between his muscles and Nick Walker's. The way that the separation is so clear, but the muscle is so full, but so separated and dry on the subcutaneous level. You don't see that often, but Dallas had that, Nick had that, and Shawn had that, a very similar kind of look. Do you have ideas of what do you think do they do anything unusual there, or is it?
Absolutely. It's insane amounts of growth hormone. That's exactly what does it. But it's not just the one effect of doing prep. It's staying on mass amounts of GH over time, letting that muscle getting just dense and dense. The skin actually gets thinner over time. So you get that almost translucent effect when it's time, to pull fat. But it's a thing that has to happen over time.
Dude, you already know that Nick Walker, like I already told Leo, that dude's on massive GH. Like, he's on a grip of GH because, he gets it for free. They're probably running massive.
Someone commented on our video, 2 comments on the last one, like I don't know why these guys, we weren't saying it, but I don't know why people are saying Nick is abusing things. He's probably just, everyone knows 8 or 12 units of growth is all you need, and everyone's using the same thing. I was like, bro, he's not, I could almost bet my left hand.
I would bet a kidney on it.
I've used 30 units for a day or two before. I've tried it, just short term, not just to experiment. I felt it before, and I have friends who use 30 units for years in a row. So I know people who use it. So just to be clear, there are people who use 30 units.
Think about it. AIDS patients get 30 to 40 I use a day?
Well, think about what do kids get. Kids get, if they're 100 kg, 40 units a day.
But Matt got that GH Connect. That's what he used to bribe people for to get them to hire him. So, he's getting so much of that stuff, for cheap. So, he's set up.
So what do we, so Blue, who are you putting on second then?
Wait, who does he have first?
He has Hadi as first.
Oh, Hadi first. Okay.
If everybody was on, I would definitely have Hadi. Ramy's a force. If he comes in, I think it's a smart thing if they did like what you had mentioned, kind of like a Kevin Levrone, deal where, he took an off season and just kind of chilled out, didn't try to grow, stayed sharp. And then, to put all of his focus into this prep. If he comes in, just crazy condition, I don't think anyone will touch him. He's just too big. It's just too much, overwhelming for the other guys on stage.
You can't qualify so much though. You have to make a choice. Is Hadi gonna win or is Ramy gonna win? There's a bet. I mean, not a bet, but a prediction. We're all gonna be wrong to some degree. Although, Blue, I'll warn you, Blue. Last year I got the top 5 correct in the correct order, so I might have some.
You know who else I like a lot, but isn't it completely on and would be right in the mix? Is that Justin Rodriguez? If that guy was completely on, that guy would be so dangerous.
Yeah, like Blue. Don't you think if there's no politics involved, no politics at all? Don't you think if Justin Rodriguez was completely peeled, he would beat Nick Walker?
He would destroy him.
Or second, I think he would have beat Iain. And I like his physique more than Iain and Kuklos.
If Justin comes in 100%, that guy would have easily won the Arnold. Easily. I mean, if everybody was on at the Arnold, it would have been between Kuklo and Justin. I'm not the biggest fan of Iain. Some things I don't understand. But or Hassan. If everybody was completely on, like Hassan, I mean, everybody would be chasing him. I mean, that dude would look insane.
Dude, Blue, you're gonna get murdered in the comments.
Blue, do you think that Hassan cheats on his diet or what? Or do you think he just needs a new coach?
It could be both. I mean, you could have him, messing up the diet, and then you got Chris doing his diuretic thing at the end, making it worse, trying to, get him lean by pulling water, and then it just makes it worse. But I'm not taking anything away from Nick. Nick is smart. Just, people that want to comment, Nick is smart. He's showing up and he's capitalizing on conditioning. He's not playing that game. If these other guys did that, they would be successful as well.
But we have to add a caveat. Like, legitimately, Nick is bigger than all of them. Nick's arms are bigger in every comparison.
I disagree with that.
No, his bicep and tricep is wider than everyone's on stage.
But Kuklo was the biggest by far.
Structurally, but the muscle, if you just look at the arm muscle, Kuklo's arm is smaller than Nick's.
But he towers him. I mean,
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he's not just the conditioning; he's got a lot of muscle, right?
No, of course he has a lot of muscle, but he definitely doesn't have more muscle pound for pound than Ramy. Hadi's 5'4"?
Yeah.
I'm saying you know what I mean. So it's not like
top
it's
level.
not like he's out muscling them by that much. Remember, Nick is short. We've never had a Mr. Olympian that's been. I mean, since what? Franco Colombo or whatever, right? Did Franco win?
Brandon, bro. Brandon's
not 5'6".
Oh, no, but he's 5'7", Nick. Brandon's 5'8".
Nick's 5'6".
Well, forget that. Phil Heath is 5'8", bro. I've met him. He's tiny.
5'6".
Why, he's 5'7". Phil Heath is...
No.
I'm only 5'10". Phil Heath is like here.
Nick Walker's 5'6". Maybe with shoes he's 5'7". But he's 5'6".
But I'm saying still, there's a bunch of short Mr. Olympias recently, since Ronnie Coleman, since Jake.
Yeah, but not someone at 5'6". 5'8", 5'9" is where you want to be.
Well, okay. So I mean, I didn't think. Okay, so I realized Blue is playing it fast and loose with the predictions. He's giving a lot of qualifications, so he doesn't get anything wrong. So I'll pick. You'll pick.
My gut feeling, if Ramy comes in at even 95%, Ramy will win it again. If not, if Hadi is on, they'll be battling again. Brandon will be in the mix, of course.
So who are you going with? You're going with Ramy one.
Randy's so hard.
He's Switzerland. He's Switzerland.
Right. Leo, we'll pick and then he'll pick.
Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you guys my thoughts. Okay, my thoughts are. Okay, I'll do a little bit of Blue just one caveat. I just want to mention. If Ramy does not come in condition, I think it changes the whole competition. Because if he doesn't come in condition, he's the only tall guy with a tiny waist and that kind of issue. So then it becomes it's a competition between short guys. Hadi, Brandon, Bonac, and in my opinion, Nick. And so Nick, I think, looks better if Ramy does way worse. Because Ramy's aesthetics and waist and height really put things into perspective. So my opinion is, I think though, realistically, I think Ramy is going to come in first.
Okay.
I think Hadi is going to come in second. And I think Nick is going to come in third.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think Brandon is going to come, or Bonac is going to come fourth. Maybe I might be wrong about the third one, but I think this is the order. I think then Bonac.
Yeah, Bonac in fifth.
I mean, I would prefer Bonac to be higher. I don't see Brandon as being better.
Do a sixth.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a sixth, but who was my last? Bonac, and then it gets really complicated. I mean, look, I think that Akeem, if he had not ruined his condition recently and lost his coach, I think he would have been higher. I think this guy could be high if he's in very good condition. But I think it'll probably be Iain because he's the favorite.
Okay.
I think that, by the way, guys, I got to mention something. I don't know if you know this, but James Hollingshead just came out and said that if he went to the Arnold, he would have gotten second, and that at the O, he may beat Nick.
He said if he had 2 more weeks, he could beat Nick. I watched it.
Yeah, so it was
I watched it because you told me to.
Yeah, that was insane. I mean, but it's really interesting because when you look at
Fuad has him in the top 5.
Fuad is like, he basically, anyone who's on his show, he wants to put them in the top because he doesn't want them to be upset with him, you know? Yeah. I think. But that's my idea. So I think like Ramy, then Hadi, then I think that Nick may come in. And if he doesn't, it would be Brandon, then Nick, then Bonac, and then Iain. And then I would think James or Justin or someone like that.
Okay, so let me do mine now. Ramy's 1.
Okay.
Hadi's gonna be 2. Brandon 3.
Okay.
Bonac 4th.
That's how I ordered them, by the way. I ordered them in this way because they're the most
5th.
Literally my ordering, yeah.
Walker 6th.
Oh, interesting. Where is this guy? Oh, Nick Walker's there. Yeah, 6. Wow, the way I listed them according to the probability is literally what you chose.
Okay, hold on. 7th, Justin Rodriguez.
Yeah, I know he could really be up there. Yeah.
8th, Iain.
I doubt they will let Justin.
Hunter 9th. And I'm gonna go Muhammad Shaban for 10th.
That's a good choice, actually. Oh, I forgot that Muhammad, the guy with the
dude, he's a sick Arab.
Okay, so wait, I'm gonna go a bit further then. So 6, I had Iain. So maybe I would go. Yeah, I think Justin or James.
Okay.
I just think James has a lot of media attention behind him, and he's gonna come in condition. Yeah, I don't know how much further I can go. It gets hectic there, but yeah, okay. What's your opinion, Blue?
Who do you think has better picks?
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so I know first and second, I'm thinking we'll be out of Ramy and Hadi. Third, your guys, my gut feeling because of conditioning, and I respect Nick for this. I think he will be in the top 5. My gut feeling is he will be in the top 5.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in the top 5 too, but I can't. I'm betting that he's not, so I'm not going to pick that.
I from what I know of Nick, I think he's a good kid and he works his ass off and he's coming in, pilled time after time. So, I think he's going to catch people slipping again. I could see him, honestly, 4th or 5th. Brandon 3rd, or Bonac fighting for 3rd, one of those guys.
He's not giving us straight answers.
Yeah, no, he gave us 2 1s and 2 3rds, bro. I'm just adding different thirds over here.
If I had to bet, if I absolutely had to bet, just if I had to bet, okay, so I'll say, I'll say Ramy first, Hadi second. I hate to do that, but if he comes in third Bonac, 4th Brandon Curry, 5th. Oh shit.
Well, you said you had Walker top 5.
Yeah, Nick Walker in 5th. 6th. Oh man.
Wait, can I just explain something? By the way, why I put Walker before Bonac, or sorry, not Bonac, why I put Walker before Brandon is because of the legs. I think Walker compares very well with Brandon. Same height.
Brandon has beautiful shape though, so if he's peeled, they'll give it to him.
If he's peeled and separated, but he's usually not that separated.
You're right. If his conditioning is off by any means, Nick will beat him. But if he's on, he will beat Nick.
Okay, well, you don't gotta have to go past the 6. You got 5 at least, Blue.
Yeah. Well, what's your last one?
I can go past it. At 6 would be Iain. I think that they're not going to let him get too far out of there.
You're probably right, but you agree that he probably shouldn't be top 6, right?
No, I think so too. I think it's just Paul. That's why I put him there. I wouldn't.
I do agree with that. Yeah, 7th. I'm going to have to say Justin. Now, if Justin was completely nasty pilled, I think he would be in the top 3 or 4.
Now, Blue. How much conditioning can these guys from the Arnold make up in 2 weeks, in your opinion? How much? What can you really do in 2 weeks?
Some of these guys were really off. Like, I mean, if they push it, enough to not crash, just to get to that line, they could make up, and especially if maybe there were some things, that were really off, maybe some things that needed to be pulled prior, and giving their body a few days to relax. I mean, a lot can happen, but it really just depends. Cause I mean, I don't know exactly, the whole, orchestration of how they're doing things behind the scenes. But I mean, in 2 weeks, some guys can change dramatically or could get worse.
That's true.
You know what's an interesting subject? I just want to bring this up. Like, bodybuilders always say that they get stressed the last week, and sometimes there's like a cortisol issue, or there's stress the last couple of days, make them hold water. I wondered why, because I saw a bodybuilder recently who seemed extremely relaxed in an interview a week or 2 before his show. And I texted Bostin about it. I said, this guy looks like he's on a benzo. And I started thinking about it. It's a pretty smart idea. Like, if you remember Andreas Munzer.
So many people take Valium before their show.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. So Andreas Munzer used to use heavy benzos before his competitions. I don't know what he was thinking, but benzos, when you use them for the first month, they reduce cortisol acutely, and they're very powerful at just relaxing someone. So if you lost all your fat a little bit early, so you don't have to train too hard or use Clen or whatever the last few days, and you take a bit of Valium just to relax for 3 days, you probably could coast into the show without that anxiety.
People use Valium all the time for that. I've heard that so many times with competitors that use that. The only problem is, don't some of these medications possibly hold water?
Maybe, but I don't think Valium does. Does it? Does it?
Lorazepam. Lorazepam's great. The last week as well. I mean, either one of them will hold water. I mean, that's why I like my guys stage ready 7 to 10 days out. So that way we can back off. Cortisol levels drop. You get this dry, fresh look, where your body actually gets to relax. It makes such a difference when, the last week, you're just posing and posing and posing and getting harder and harder. And that's where, sometimes people take that term growing into a show, because if you're 2 to 3 weeks out ready, and then you can take your foot off the gas and sometimes jack up food or even chemicals with it, that's how you get that effect. And sometimes it's not even growing into the show. It's just your body getting this refresh to it, to where things just start popping a bit more. That it gives you that look that you've grown into the show, but it's just because your cortisol has dropped.
What do you think is going to be the effect of Iain having been so low body fat for months in a row and going into the Olympia? I mean, is there any way he can get you? Because you were talking about growing into a show when you're already in condition. Do you think that could apply to him? Could he get better?
Possibly, because I mean, maybe he was holding back at the Arnold because that was his, kind of his thing to slingshot into the Olympia. So I mean,
but even Iain at his best structurally, he has no back. I can't see him being top 5. I really can't.
Bostin, explain that to me. When he does his back double bicep, why does he lean back?
I think he said in the interview that he tore his back.
Oh, okay.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he said something happened with his back. But it looks funky for sure.
He leans back in the poses. Hey, so this week I thought we could do something fun. I've never done this before, but Lucy said Lucy every morning she looks at like funny news articles in the morning. Sometimes she sends them to me. So she was like, why don't you guys look at some of these news articles on the show? So I don't know if it'll be interesting, but I thought I would share some articles with you guys that came up this week. And if the audience finds this interesting, they can comment down below and tell us about different articles or interesting things for us to check out. The first one is there's a city in Germany that has applied reserved LGBT or migrant parking spaces. So instead of being handicapped and getting a space, if you are an LGBT person or an immigrant to Hanau in Germany, you can get a dedicated parking space.
Wow.
Shocking, right? Talking about society developing I don't know how to say it, but privileged groups. This is a very interesting.
Are they communists over there in Germany?
They're socialists. They're very strong socialists after World War II. Sorry. So Merck, I don't know if you guys have heard about the COVID-19 pill. Have you heard about it?
No.
So there's a pill. Basically, what this does is it screws up the replication of the virus's mRNA process. And it's very effective. They're trying to get, I think, FDA approval. It has it's called Molnupiravir. It's an antiviral drug. It has a dramatic improvement in a placebo-controlled study on COVID-19, and it's just a pill, and you can start taking it once you get COVID.
Isn't that what that HCQ stuff is? That
No, that's a different thing. Yeah. This is a new medication. Also, by the way, for those that don't know, there are monoclonal antibodies that you guys can get if you get COVID too. A lot of places now carry it. You can go do it's like an infusion for 20 minutes. Then they watch you for an hour afterwards. And if you're fine, it dramatically reduces side effects from COVID, even if you don't have the vaccine. This was really shocking. So look at this. So this guy is a 68-year-old, I think he's French. He's French. 68-year-old man was arrested for drugging his wife for 10 years, adding tranquilizers to her food so that he could then post ads online for men to come over and sleep with his wife.
Wow. While she was knocked out?
While she was knocked out. She had no idea about this. Says,
he got arrested, right?
Cops say the woman, now 61, had no idea what was happening to her until they showed her tapes of herself being abused, which her husband kept on his computer. The husband is now facing 20 years. He was examined by a psychologist.
20 years? He should be then for life.
Oh, bro, in Europe, the sentences are ridiculous. Like, you can murder.
If I was in the US, he'd be gone.
He'd be gone. You can murder people in Sweden and go to prison for 15 years and come right back out. So, or do less than that. In Canada used to be like that too. They had really light sentences. Wait, let me close these. Okay, so this is another interesting one. Do you guys know Matthew Perry from Friends? This guy?
No, I don't.
What do you mean? You've never watched Friends? Are you serious? You never watched the show?
I've never seen it, but he looks like shit.
Bro, you're so much younger than Blue. You've watched Friends, haven't you?
Yeah, it looks like he got implants.
No, apparently. No, that's sad. But you know what's interesting? When I was recovering from alcoholism, I stayed at a sober living once, and I actually stayed in his bed at it. He used to stay at sober livings to recover from pill addictions and alcohol stuff. So anyway, this article is basically saying they caught him walking around and he's overweight, and they were talking about his struggle with addiction and stuff. And there's a really interesting quote. He said, sometimes he would say a line on Friends and people wouldn't laugh, and he would sweat and go into convulsions, shaking from anxiety. This used to happen to me too. And it really gets worse if you start to get used to using drugs that reduce your anxiety. So apparently he's been addicted to a variety of things. I hope he gets better. I've actually seen him in an AA meeting once. He was collecting his 1 month chip. It was a few years ago. So I guess he comes in and out of the program. This was very interesting. So apparently not very interesting, but you guys have heard of this. I don't know who this lady is, but Stormy Daniels.
Did you read the title?
Yeah. So basically, Stormy Daniels is this woman who described Donald Trump's penis as being like a toadstool, and she called it Yeti pubes and a dick like a mushroom character in Mario Kart. So I just wanted to point out something, bro. Guys, listen to this. If you slept with a woman and a news agent asked you to describe the woman's pussy, and you described it like a disgusting piece, like a nasty thing, and you were disgusted by it, you would be attacked by everyone in the media for being sexist. Everyone would attack you.
Wait, so she fucked Trump?
Yeah, this is a long time ago. She fucked Trump. She made fun of his dick, said it looked like a mushroom. But the story here is that Trump's former press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, is writing a tell-all book, and she's saying that Trump, when this happened, he called her apparently to let her know that his dick wasn't small and it was not shaped like a mushroom from the airplane, apparently. But anyway, I was just putting this up because how do people get away with that? I mean, if I talked about a woman's pussy, people would be like, that's so sexist and demeaning. And anyway, so this is another one. A guy in the US chopped off his own penis and testicles to become something that I've never heard of before. It's called a Nullo. So apparently, there's this guy over here that started this movement. This guy, his name is Gelding. He was the first Nullo. This guy cut off his dick and his balls by himself, I think, and created this movement online for people that don't feel like they're men or women, or they feel like they want to be eunuchs. And so this guy
cut their dick off and go right to the emergency room.
That's what this guy did. He cut his balls off first, and then called the ambulance and went to the emergency room, got it done, then cut his dick off with a ceramic knife like 2 years later, and then called the cops again, going to the hospital again. And he's very happy with it. He says his orgasms are better than ever. He's gay, apparently.
Wow, how can you orgasm?
Apparently, he still ejaculates not seminal fluid, but prostatic, I guess it's called seminal fluid, but without the actual sperm or whatever. Weird. Yes, bro, it's very... But anyway, they then, after he goes to the hospital, they bring a psychiatrist, and they said he's sane. And so, anyway, this guy's walking around with no dick and balls.
They said that he is sane?
Yeah, they said that he's sane, surprisingly. Wow. Oh, there's another thing that's interesting. So apparently there's been a lot of fentanyl-laced cocaine. And there's an overdose, this actor, I don't know who he is, but this also happened to, may have happened to Michael K. Williams. You guys know who that is, right?
Yeah.
That's the guy from The Wire, Omar.
Oh, no, not him. I thought the other guy, I thought Robbins.
Yeah, a lot of people have been, a lot of people have been dying from cocaine laced, from fentanyl laced in cocaine. I don't know why they would even put that in cocaine. People should be careful about it. Oh, guys, so let's critique some cycles real quick. We had some really interesting questions. Now, I know Blue is always averse to critiquing cycles because we don't have enough information, we don't know much about them, and we don't want to give generic advice, But we have some... what we want to do here is just like not give specific advice to the people, but if we have any thoughts that we may think are like learning lessons or something, we could use them to help them. So, this is the 7th one. Where's the first one? What the hell? These are all out of order. Okay, so this guy says he's a hard gainer. It's pretty interesting. He said, last week he commented, he's always been tall and lengthy. He ran track in high school and always had a very lean body. He always lifted, and recently, the last 4 years, tried to gain size. Remember Bostin, he had this protocol. He was using 200 test sip and 200 deca for over a year, and gained only about 12 pounds, which is most likely water weight, obviously. He was natural before that. He says now this is the thing though. Someone answered him, it was Stone, I think, saying that he works, that he's probably not eating enough. He said he works an extremely laborious job in heat in Texas, so he burns a lot of calories. He said, are there any particular compounds that may be up his alley? Thanks again, you guys are amazing, etc. When Stone said he doesn't eat enough, he said, this is true. I've been eating about 4,500 to 5,500 calories for quite a while. I currently can't change my energy expenditures for work. I'm just asking what compounds would help me in this situation given the circumstances. Obviously not ideal, I understand, but regardless of that, I'm asking what can be done. What are you guys' thoughts?
That's still a good amount of food. I'd bring the test up to 500 mgs. And then I would swap out the Deca for something like EQ like EQ or Primo. And then I would add in an oral like Anavar.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like my thought too is you don't really know if Stone might be right. I mean, that is a lot of food, to be honest with you. You might not be eating enough protein. Something may be going on too. But to be honest with you, I don't know if I would have gained much more than 12 pounds I guess over a year probably. Something must be wrong with his training to some degree also.
It really depends. How about if he got leaner?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if... he would notice, though, major improvements. He would say, I got leaner and stuff. Yeah. I know. It's a low cycle, in my opinion. And you may not be somebody who responds very well to test to DECA in the first place. You might respond to some other things. So I would try... What do you think, Blue?
You're not going to like my answer.
I expected so, but tell me.
Well, I would want to see most current blood work. I'd want to see what he looks like. His composition, currently, I'd want to see exactly what's going on, what he's used in the past. There's a lot of things I would want to look at to see.
We certainly know he's only used, this is his only cycle, and he's been on this for a year. But everything else, it makes sense, of course.
Well, I mean, I'd want to see what he looked like. How is he feeling? You know what I'm saying? What's his blood work, reflecting? Let's talk about that. Let's give him a tip. Like, what do we want to see when we look at how he looks? We want to see
Well, one example is this. You're saying you're eating 4,500 calories, but you're moving a lot. If we look at you, we could potentially see, does your muscle look filled? Are you filled with glycogen? Or are you actually running a bit low on glycogen? So you're not actually...
Are any of these guys comfortable? Because it'd be a lot easier for me. I'm just saying, like, when they send in this info, which is good, like if they showed a picture of themselves.
We have a couple like that.
Yeah, then I could say, okay, maybe this, and this.
Yeah, we have a couple like that. We'll get to them here. So this is a lady. She says it's her first cycle. She's doing it because she's having a hard time losing weight. She's been bodybuilding for 11 years. She's 65 kg and 168 centimeters, which means she's 10 centimeters. I don't know what that is in inches. Okay, so she wants to take 100 micrograms of T3, 200 of T4, and she wants to use Clen up to 120 for 14 days and then 14 days off. It's her first cycle, so I guess she has a coach, started with this. She said her tests were...
How much T3 that is.
Yeah, she said her T3 was low on the tests. It's actually not. I know these are in European metrics, so that T3 is not low. The T4 is a little bit on the lower side, and the TSH is very average. So there's no real... When the TSH is that number, there's no need to give thyroid.
That's a good TSH.
But that's a very good TSH. That's an indication that she's not in need to produce more T4.
Dude, this is ridiculous. Whoever her coach is, she needs to fire him.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't you think that there's a way for her to get leaner without using these cardiotoxic drugs?
Yeah, I'd want to see her diet immediately.
I know. Fuck, her diet must be shit.
And then we keep in mind that to the lady that's writing this, there are drugs that can encourage weight loss that are not unhealthy. Like GLP-1 agonists, which inhibit hunger to some degree, are not unhealthy. They're actually extremely healthy. I'm doing a comprehensive review of their effects on heart, on various things in the body.
Metformin too, Leo. Metformin works really good with females.
It might sometimes, yeah. There's a lot of different combinations that they can do, but I feel like just trying to speed up your metabolism, hardwire speed it up like that, if you're gonna hurt your heart.
I've never seen this before. 100 T3 and...
Well, let's talk about the T3. This is insane, by the way. There's no need to do 100 micrograms, and especially not at one time during the day. Really, you're going to get a very high heart rate. You need to be measuring your heart. That's crazy. Yeah, we should mention that also. Yeah.
And then also 200 T4 on top of that? Holy shit.
Yeah, there's no reason for this to be 100. And if you ever did start with T3, why didn't you start with 12.5 and then wait and see if that's enough and then go?
I always start my clients at 12.5, and I only raise it if I feel like it's necessary after I've made changes to the diet, after I raise the cardio and all that stuff. Exactly.
So general advice to the lady, be careful about drugs that directly raise your heart rate. There may be less costly options. Don't ever use 100 micrograms of T3 in addition to T4. And if you ever do this kind of stuff, pay close attention to your heart rate. Your resting heart rate.
My advice is fire her coach and find someone that's actually knowledgeable. There's no knowledgeable coach out there that would ever have a client do 200 T4 and 100 T3. There's nobody.
That's a good point. Yeah, she should fire a coach. The 100 micrograms is too much. That's dangerous. Okay, so Steve says, someone who's very hair conscious. He's 23 years old. He's on finasteride and minoxidil for 5 years. Wow. Started early. And he says that he wants to take a cycle, preferably SARMs because they're easier to obtain, but I could be convinced otherwise for good reasons. What would be the safest cycle? So I'll just answer this quickly. Talk to Derek for More Plates, More Dates. Obviously, he knows much more about this than I do because my hair doesn't fall very easily from androgens, so I can't really tell. I just want to let you guys know the safest steroids you can use that are injectable. Wait, did he say oral? The safest injectable steroid is Deca by itself if you don't use finasteride. Now, you're using finasteride. It has a short half-life, but if you're using finasteride, then it would be potentially testosterone with finasteride or dutasteride, and maybe using a topical RU in your hair at the same time because the testosterone will still cause hair loss, or whatever androgen binds there would. In terms of SARMs, apparently the most hair-safe SARMs are S4, although Derek says it causes very interesting eye effects, like you start to get blind at night.
I have that in my stash. I never used it, though.
I wouldn't. Apparently it has some weird eye effects that apparently revert mostly, but still suspicious.
Have you heard of that? Isn't there an S23 too?
I have heard of an S2. I don't know much about it. The S4 is the one that Derek says is very hair safe, and then the Osterine, of course, as well. So I just wanted to mention those two.
So my answer to that would be 10 mgs of RAD 140 combined with 10 mgs of Osterine.
RAD, I think, is less hair safe, but I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure. Bostin and I both don't.
I've never had any females have any hair loss on RAD.
Oh, really?
Never.
Okay, so Cully Fitness. Here's a guy who wants to check out his Instagram. So let's Cully Fitness. Sorry guys, let me search for this. There he is. So he wants us to check it out. So he says, in 2 weeks, I will be getting my gyno removed. Pubertal, had it since I was 13. And then after I've recovered, I want to do my first cycle of 400 tests, 20 milligrams Anavar on weak body part days, twice a week, I guess. Curious to know what your thoughts are based on my physique at 18, wanting to become a classic physique pro. So this guy has a question and he has a physique, so we could check it out. I haven't seen it beforehand, by the way. I don't know which ones to look at. Is he 18? That's a big chest for an 18-year-old. That's natural. Holy crap. Is he natural? Wow.
I was better than him at 18, though.
Not natural, right? Or were you?
No, I wasn't natural, but I mean.
But he's natural. He has a back too. Look at that lower back. No, he's natural and he's 18, bro.
Are you sure he's natural?
I think. Well, he doesn't look natural though, right? I don't know.
Does it say he's fully 100% lifetime natural?
He said it's his first cycle. Maybe he's done SARMs or something. He said it's his first cycle.
I think he's done pro hormones.
Yeah, we can't see much about his physique in general, but he has a
This guy needs to hire a Blue, put on some muscle.
Yeah, maybe you should hire Blue. So his question was, what do you think about the cycle? I think it's a good cycle, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the cycle. Besides 20 mgs of R 3 times a week, if you're only going to do it 3 times a week, at least do 50 mgs pre-workout.
I would do it, but who knows? He doesn't know if he responds well and what the quality of the Anavar is. Sometimes when you get,
you're going to get a response off 20 milligrams of UGL Anavar.
I never do, but I've had clients that do. I just don't understand how they take 20 milligrams of UGL Chinese Anavar and it works for them. Some other guys with the UGL stuff need 100.
Well, so maybe Blue can answer that question. Blue, if somebody has a physique like this and they come to you and they want to run their first cycle, what do you usually have them do?
Absolutely, just test first by itself.
That's what I do. I do around 500 mgs. How about you?
I mean, really, it just depends. Sometimes a lot of people start with 125 mgs, 2 or 3 times a week, because maybe it's just that little spark. You get to know how sensitive they are too when you start fairly low.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never experienced it. I mean, because if that works, I mean, it's good. But definitely the test by itself. That way, that can be completely monitored by itself. And then once things get moving, you kind of know how the person is responding, genetically, all that type of stuff, and visually. And then, complement it with, Anavar. But, just to keep everything balanced, I would, I'd probably, if I was to, the Anavar, maybe start at like 10 mgs once a day, every day. I'm just big on, the microdosing. But yeah, this guy may be hyper responsive. He may only need, 200 mgs of test a week, just some TRT dose, and he might just explode. I mean, and if he starts these two and he's never cycled before, he's not going to be able to really monitor.
Yeah, that's the thing. Blue is totally right. I made such a mistake not saying that. You're totally right, bro. Like if you start with 400 tests, you could just wait a month in and then add the Anavar, or a month and a half, and at least you know the feeling of how test feels, and then you know the feeling when you take that Anavar. You'll know if you're stronger that workout or not. Because some guys, I don't know if you know this, Bostin, some guys take Anavar and they get 0 strength increase. They're just not responsive.
Like me.
Yeah, so you'll know. Yeah, that's a good point, Blue. Great advice. Very good advice. Okay, so let me see if I can get to the next one here. Okay, Young Moa says, for context, he's been lifting 5 times a week, minimum, with 1 hour of cycling done separately, and 1 2-hour session, which will increase in duration. And also don't want to take Cardarine. I know somebody's going to say that. Okay, what the hell? I don't remember going through this one. Interesting.
What is that?
So what the hell? This confused me. So he has basically, his goal is to improve cardio performance and drop 20 pounds for a long distance cycling event, 200 miles in 1 day, while maintaining muscle mass. Interesting. So his ancillary.
You would know better than me. I'll
start with ancillaries. He's taking rosuvastatin, which is a statin. He's taking this is fish oil. He's taking citrus bergamot, astragalus, tudka, I don't know what Pharma GABA is, but I would probably stay away from that. Sounds very bad, actually. And then vitamins K1 and 2, and multi and a krill fish oil as well, which probably is a waste of money, to be honest. And then he's taking 500 units of HCG twice a week, so he's still functional. And what is this 5-20-20 Anavar T-ball, D-ball, post-workout rotating 3 times a week? Oh, that's, I think that
Anavar at 5 mgs and then T-ball and D-ball.
I wouldn't, the first comment I had is about the D, I think the D-ball is like out of place here. I wouldn't have D-ball there. I would prefer some other pre-workout.
Yeah, especially if he's trying for endurance.
Yeah, you don't want to hold that water and
Anavar.
Yeah,
he says he can't get EPO.
EP, well, he can. He's just not on the forum, I think. Isn't there somebody on the forum?
There's people on the forum that carry it. Farm.
Yeah, all right. So he's taking test and EQ. Well, let's point out to him that both EQ and Primo potently increase hematopoiesis. And if you were going to use the Anabol, you would use Anadrol because it does it more so than the Anabol. But and then he has injectable L-carnitine. I think I don't know. This is an endurance thing. I have no expertise in endurance stuff. What do you guys think?
Honestly, it's kind of, I know you're probably thinking the same thing. You can tell it's kind of messy and all over the place. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, I mean, what's the,
you can't really, this would drive me crazy. Like if he was starting something, I'd never have him start all this at the same time. Like I can understand the health subs, but some of this other stuff, you're not going to be able to
know what's happening.
Hello?
Yeah, you're not going to know what's happening, right? Because too many things at once.
You're not going to know what's happening. How can you analyze something specifically when all these different all these different ingredients are going on? I just, the cycling of the Anavar T-ball, D-ball, why would someone do that? I mean, it's just...
I can understand the cycling between the Anavar and I don't know Turinabol myself, but the cycling maybe so he doesn't develop a tolerance maybe. But like, let's be critical. Okay, so why do you have testosterone in there? You don't need it. You're an endurance runner. I don't know what you want out of the test, but you don't want to hold more water weight. So you probably want Primo instead of it. Why is EQ...
right?
Well, why is EQ in there? Also, you don't want EQ probably because Primo does the same thing, but you hold less water. So probably again, you want Primo instead of that. So you just have to analyze, why do you have the D-ball in there? Why D-ball instead of Anadrol? If you wanted hematopoiesis, Anadrol has more of that, but both of them are going to make you hold a lot of more water weight and tissue in your body, which you're not going to want. So
there's just too much, you know what I'm saying?
There's a lot going on here. Yeah,
there's a lot going on and nothing really, there's no rhythm.
So Matt says he's been a competitor in the NPC, wants to push his physique as much as he can in classic physique. He's been training for 6 years, competing for 3. His first cycle was 500 tests for 12 weeks. He gained 20 pounds. He's on an 8-week cruise of 200, planning on running a 12-week cycle. And this is planned for the cycle. He wants to know, is it too much for a second cycle? He's doing 500 again of tests. But for some reason, he starts the second week in with Deca and then removes it 1 week before. Oh, I guess he wants the test to kick in first. So he has Deca for many of the weeks, and then he has Danabol the last 4 weeks at 50 milligrams a day, I guess.
I like that, but I don't like the no AIs.
He said he has AIs if he needs them.
Yeah, but I mean... I don't
know.
Yeah,
good point.
You're going to need it at 500 mgs a test.
My thought was like, I just feel like running 4 weeks straight of Danabol is just unnecessary to your liver. I would rather run it 3 times a week for more weeks. I think you get more out of it with less harm on the liver. When you don't give your liver a break days in a row, the toxicity starts to build up. And to be honest, the Danabol starts working less. After 2 weeks in a row, the Danabol has less of an effect.
Or how about just use the D-ball on training days?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. You agree, Blue?
These type of cycles, a lot of guys send me this type of stuff and show me stuff from other coaches that write out these cycles. So you're going to do this for this section of time. That type of stuff, you
can't do that ahead of time because you need to know how he responds, right, Blue?
I am completely against it. I would never suggest that. You don't know what's going to happen for this guy, for success and for health. I would not plan out your cycle. It's one thing to get some things together and want to run this or that. I would start with the test completely by itself and see how you feel. If everything's going accordingly, then add in a little bit of DECA, see how those go together. The D-ball, you can't say, because I don't know how this person might respond. You might not even need the D-ball.
But we don't need to go much further. All we need to do is with each one of these get one learning lesson. And to be honest, you hit the nail on the head, Blue. That's a perfect point, is never plan your cycle 16 weeks in advance, because you have no idea how you respond. Forget about your health parameters. I'm just talking about how you respond to the performance enhancing drugs along those weeks. Like, for example, Blue, just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, I wrote a program for a elite athlete, as a competitive athlete. And he contacted me thereafter. He was like, okay, this is the first 4 weeks of the second phase of the program. What's the third phase? Or what are we going to do after the first 4 weeks? What do I need to order? And I was like, I can't tell you yet, because I don't know how you're going to respond to these things. And if we planned it ahead of time, there's no way we could be efficient. Because we literally are. Huh?
That's exactly how I am with my clients. Only 6 weeks at a time.
Yeah. So that's a great point Blue brought up.
And a lot of these guys are doing that. I mean, some big name guys that I've seen actual screen captures of the cycles, and it's
Dave Palumbo sends out 24-week cycles in advance.
That's so dangerous.
Blue, can you write me a cycle for the rest of my life? I would like it all planned out ahead of time, no matter what happens. But anyway, so the last one. So this is just an interesting thing. This guy has a cycle. He's using test, NPP and Anadrol split into 2 doses on training days, which is an interesting topic, by the way. But this is the thing. He says that he's not gaining much size, and he's wondering, could it be the fact that he's on kratom? And I found this to be a really interesting question. I mean, I don't think so, because a lot of people were heroin addicts and bodybuilders at the same time and kept their muscle, and heroin is obviously more potent than kratom, but kratom is very liver toxic. It's stressful on the liver if you're taking high doses. And when you're an opiate addict, your cortisol system is basically fucked up. Like when you're on the opiates, you have very low cortisol. If you have any kind of withdrawal, like you don't take it for a few hours, your cortisol spikes. So those are my thoughts. Did you guys ever notice bodybuilders doing worse when they're on kratom?
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how many of my people even take kratom. I rarely ever have a client ever that tells me that they're on it, but I couldn't see that kratom would affect muscle gain.
What about you, Blue? You ever noticed this with opiates or kratom, people using drugs like that?
Not really. Not that they tell me. I hope not. But you know,
do you notice people who use marijuana? Do they ever?
Again, I mean, what's that?
Do you notice people who smoke marijuana sometimes have like a film of water on them? Do you notice that? Not so much. Huh?
I mean, I know that there's, with estrogen and stuff like that. I mean, I don't mind my guys using that and oils and stuff like that in the off season. Contest time, some oil at night, stuff like that can really help, with sleep. But the off season, I'm not too worried about water as long as your blood pressure is in, a good state. My thing is, watching the fat content, keeping that in check, because you do need water to grow. But of course, you don't want to cross that line.
So we have a bunch of cool questions this week. I thought we'll take some of them. The first one is by G Lifts. He says, how to deal with binge eating urges in bodybuilding. He wants us to talk about eating disorders in general in the fitness community. I don't know much about this, so I wanted to ask you guys about it.
It's very common for people to have eating disorders. Very common with people that get into this lifestyle with no eating disorders, and once they get deep into bodybuilding, they create a disorder where they think they're going to get fat if they eat off their diet, and people that end up coming. I dated a chick that was bulimic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she would eat a whole thing of nuts, like one of those big ass ones you get at like Sam's Club or nuts. Yeah, so do you remember the fucking the big thing? So anyways, this is so fucked up. She was puking in my shower, and it clogged my shower, so I had to call maintenance, and maintenance called me over, and they're like, "Hey man, like there's a bunch of like throw up in your pipelines." So I was nice to her, and then I talked to her twin sister. And her twin sister was like, yeah, you didn't know we have a nut eating addiction. And I like tried to be nice about it. I'm like, hey, like those.
What?
I was like, we just got those nuts. Like Leo, I'm talking about the whole thing in the middle of the night. And then we had these Go Nut peanut jars, like peanut butter Go Nut protein things. Ariella, when we broke up, she had left like 12 of them in my cabinet. Leo, they were all gone when we got back together like months later. This chick was eating this shit, and she would just puke it up.
Bro, this is one of the weirdest stories I've ever heard. It was not even nut butter. You didn't say it was. She's not addicted to peanut butter. She's addicted to.
They were mixed nuts,
like healthy nuts. Like they eat healthy nuts and then they throw up.
Tastes good. They're the salted mixed nuts.
That's crazy. Actually, I dated a chick.
You've heard of Planters peanuts and shit.
Yeah.
It was like that brand, but like mixed nuts.
Was she a fitness competitor?
Yeah, she was a competitor.
That's crazy. I've dated some bulimic chicks before. And it's a difficult condition, because whenever they throw up.
Well, she was a sweet girl. I felt bad.
Yeah, they usually are very sensitive people that are, but that's a crazy one. But what I was thinking isn't it just the fact that like you guys are always thinking in terms of cheating? Like on the weekend I have a cheat, and then I go back to and it's like a dichotomous, like either cheating or eating healthy, eating cheating or healthy. So I feel like that might cause people to start to want to go binging, right?
I had those binging disorder. I had an eating disorder in the very beginning of my bodybuilding, but then as I got older, I grew out of it. Blue, you probably had something similar, right, in the very beginning?
No, because I grew up wrestling, so I dieted and did all that as a kid. Like I was running with garbage bags and shaving my head and doing crazy things as a kid to make weight. So I didn't mind it.
Yeah, but you never did crazy binges?
No, I never did. Because I was so OCD. Like if I was to do that, I would literally rip myself apart. Okay, so yeah, that's rare though, Leo. Most of these people have really bad binging eating.
I was binging for absolutely no reason. When I was like 12 years old, I remember being I was like by myself at home, and they were like pancakes. I don't know how. I think I made them myself. I went and ate pancakes middle of the night. 12 years old, ate so many pancakes, bro. I was like throwing up, not intentionally. I was throwing up because I overate. I was in pain, crazy. I was doing that at like 12 years old, the insane kid. I made myself fat.
Your parents thought you were nuts.
They weren't at the house, so I was doing stuff by myself. I went from like skinny to fat. Yeah. I went from skinny like at 11 when I was 11 to like chubby at 13, just from binge eating constantly. So anyway, that
was before you even started weight training, right?
Yeah, actually, to be completely honest with you, subconsciously when I was 12, I was eating because I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to fight to defend myself because I was being bullied and shit. So I was like, I gotta go eat a lot of stuff, and then I just started binge eating pancakes and all kinds of. Anyway,
so like Leo, like with my kidney disease, I have no appetite. Like I could go all day without eating, but sometimes I'll IV GHRP6, and Leo, I could eat like a fucking maniac on that shit. Like I will literally destroy plates of food after I shoot GHRP6.
I can't imagine what it feels like IV. It must be so fast.
Shoot it, Leo, and you start sweating of hunger. Right away.
I would actually, honestly, I would try it if like a medical professional would do it.
My friend came over and I'm like, dude, are you hungry right now? He was like, not really. Because this he's like 260. He's doing his diet, right? And I'm like, you want to get hungry? And he was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, let me IV you with some GHRP. So I IV'd him and I'm like, do you feel it yet? And he's like, well, I feel my stomach is kind of like acting a little weird because that's what it first does. And then he was like, he told his wife, he's like, babe, you got to make me food. He was like, I'm so fucking hungry. I feel like I'm going to puke. Dude, he ate like 5,000 calories in one sitting. He just went nuts.
Wow.
If only everyone else was so willing to IV themselves as you. But just for the audience to know that GHRP6 is a ghrelin agonist. So if you IV it and it passes the blood-brain barrier, or even if it doesn't, it'll immediately activate your hunger.
Oh yeah, dude. I like you start sweating of hunger.
How much were you taking?
Just 250 mcgs. But when you IV it, Blue, when you take it like intermuscular or sub-Q, like it's like a gradual hunger. But when you IV it, you're like, oh my God. Like if I ever had a client that was like, oh, I can't eat in the mornings, I would be like, IV that shit.
Actually, on that topic, here's a good question. So we're talking about GH. So Frank Leantonio said, will dramatic effects actually occur if you up GH dose from a regular 4 IU split AM PM to say working up to 10 IU? Multiple times on the podcast, I've heard GH the most you can afford and would like to know what kind of drastic results one would get over running higher gear instead. But other people also ask the same question. Do GH doses of over 12 equate to size gains? I thought it'd be cool to talk to Blue about this because Blue also had done the IV GH experiment. And so Blue can talk from personal experience and from the experience of his clients. Just to conclude, because we're not encouraging anyone to ever use as much GH as you can afford, by the way. Whatever this guy was saying is not from us. It's just when we talk about some coaches, sometimes we say the coaches say as much as you can afford, like Milos or whatever. Yeah, like Milos or whatever. But we don't say that ourselves because GH is extremely dangerous. And we know that. And we want everyone to know this while listening to this. That
when you say GH is extremely dangerous, you're saying in high doses.
No, I'm saying I'm saying in high doses, it could ruin your kidneys and ruin your heart within a few years. So by the age of people who have actual giganticism, they die of heart failure with diabetes and usually kidney failure in their late 40s. When are all the bodybuilders dying now? Late 40s, early 50s. Similar behavior as the giants.
Yeah,
so,
but I think that happens in when your doses are higher. I don't think 2 to 4 IUs is going to do that.
No, 2 to 4 is different. I'm talking about the high, obviously. Yeah. But I'm just saying, just so everyone know, we don't recommend that and we're not saying that, but the truth is different. We just want to comment on the truth. There is a difference between taking 4 and 8 and 12 and maybe 16. Yeah. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. Like anything, start off slow, monitor, document everything, and gradually go up, I mean, once you're, in that kind of range where you get, it depends on the person, but, and of course we're talking about pharmaceutical, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a big, big difference. So, I mean, you start to get 6 to 8, pharmaceutical wise things, you can really start to see things pop. You get to 10. I mean, that's where, I noticed of just stuff getting crazy, to where mass amounts of food, just mass amounts. Like I told you, my last time I competed, my low day was 500 grams of carbs. My medium day was 800 and my high day was 12 to 1250. So, I mean, I would do 8 to 9 pounds of yams, in one day, and it was nothing. I would literally just put them on the plate and eat them with my hand. It was nothing. And that was what.
How did you cook your yams? You bake them?
Yeah, my wife will cut them up into cubes, put them on foil, spray all over the pan butter spray so they're kind of crispy on the outside. And I would just grab them just like a caveman and just eat them. And I would do a pound in like seriously a minute, 2 minutes, and I would be starving. I would sit there and I would just continually, look at the clock. Yeah, it was absolutely insanity. Just kept getting bigger and leaner, and leaner.
What HGH brand did you use on that experiment? Serostim?
I believe it was Serostim. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, personally, my favorite is Genotropin. That it's at that time is very hard to get.
That's what I'm going to be using on my GH experiment. You're talking about the Genotropin pins?
Oh, you're going to use Geno?
Yeah. So for my GH experiment, I'm going to run 10 IUs a day, but I'm going to try Genotropin, the pharmaceutical grade, and I'm going to see if it makes a difference. Because Leo, you've seen Q-Tropin on my forum, right?
Yeah.
So Q-Tropin, most of my clients on 3 to 5 IUs, their IGF is 500 to 600 on those.
Wow.
And it's like farm grade quality, and they're already pre-mixed. I don't know if you've seen them. They're already pre-mixed.
Oh, they're pre-mixed.
They're pre-mixed. So I think they're really close to farm grade quality. So I'm curious if 10 grams of Genotropin, I feel a difference between that and 10 grams of the farm grade,
Yeah, and we should just talk a couple more points about the doses. I mentioned this earlier, but like obviously, so the dosing regimen for kids that don't have growth hormone deficiency, kids that are just short, their parents want them to be taller. The dosing regimen is always the same across studies. Almost always 20 to 40 units per 100 kg. So they never give them 5 units per 100 kg. Let's assume we're all 100 kg guys. If we were kids trying to grow taller, we would be using 40 units or so every day. So that's way bigger doses.
Is that prescribed, Leo?
Yes, bro. That's what I'm saying. That's what they
prescribe that, and insurance covers it.
Yes, bro. Well, the insurance won't cover idiopathic short stature usually, but they'll cover growth hormone deficiency, and it's the same dose. It's the same, usually the same dose.
So, like, let's say if your kid is like a premature baby and he needs GH, your insurance.
Absolutely, insurance will cover it for premature baby. Absolutely, yes. Wow. And they start as early as 6 months of the baby's life.
I didn't tell you, but I got rejected on my insurance for EPO.
Really?
They fucking rejected my EPO, those cheap bastards, after I pay them $550 a month.
No,
the $2,000 deductible.
It must be the way the doctor's writing it. He could try again. Ask the doctor. He can help you.
The doctor's going to try to appeal it.
Yeah, he can try to appeal it. He can help you. Sometimes he needs to do that.
Hopefully he's going to try that. But thank God I have a bunch of it, you know?
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so the first thing is they use those doses. And then another funny story I want to tell you guys. When I was like 23 and I first started using GH, of course, I had come across GH15 online, so I thought you should always use 15 units. So I didn't even have much muscle at the time. I started lifting literally as I started using hormones at that time. I was like, I hadn't lifted for years. I was like, okay, let me do an experiment. So I started lifting and stuff like that. Immediately started getting muscle, and I started using the GH at 15 units. My shoulders were like unbelievable. They were like boulders. You know, acutely, when you use a lot of GH, you hold off glycogen, just for people to know. So you look different than you normally look. So I had a lot of the shoulder width and stuff like that. I didn't realize that it was making me look like Shrek. I had no idea, because until I started dating this chick who was like a really good looking chick at my workplace. I was like secretly dating her. And then she was like chilling with me one day, and she's looking at my hands. She's like, why are your hands like Shrek's hands? Why do you have these weird fingers, pudgy fingers? I was like, my fingers are pudgy? Like, I'd never thought about that. I looked at my hand. My hand was like a square. And it was a damn GH. Every finger was.
So how are you doing that? Like 5 IU for 3 times a day?
No, I was shooting 15 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I was doing it half. Sometimes I was shooting 15. Yeah, it was, but these were Chinese, not pharmaceutical.
Well, but I was going to ask you, was this when you were in Dubai where you were getting good shit?
Yeah, I was getting good stuff, but this was Chinese. But then later I tried it at 15 for like a month or so with pharmaceutical, and I tried short periods with 30, and there's definitely differences. Okay, so some questions about females. Underrated Muscle and Banjo Roll both asked questions about females. They wanted to ask, what's the lowest Primo dose a first-time female user could use to see some results?
25 mgs twice a day.
Oral of Primo Ace, yeah?
Oh, Primo Ace?
I was thinking Primo Ace. You're talking about injectable?
Actually, the dose on both, I would say Primo Ace, the lowest mig for a female would be 50 mgs, 25 twice a day. And for injectable, 25 mgs twice a week.
Oh, interesting. And what about the other one was about Turinabol? They wanted to know if it's a no-go for females.
I would say it's a no-go. I would never have a chick.
Oh, interesting. Blue, did you notice that? Is T-ball sort of?
I think Blue likes T-ball. Blue. What you use T-ball on women or no?
I'm not a big fan of T-ball at all, even with men. I'm not a big fan of it.
I've never tried it, Blue. What does it feel like? What's it like?
I've never even taken T-ball.
Oh,
you know?
Me too.
Yeah, I was always, kind of freaked out on taking certain things, you remember, because certain things gave me anxiety. So T-ball I never messed with. I used a lot of Anadrol, I would, use 100 mgs a day.
Did EQ give you anxiety?
A little bit. EQ can give you anxiety. Absolutely. Yes. As soon as you start to jack up dosages too, even some guys that don't have anxiety, as soon as they get in higher doses, they'll start to fill it with the EQ. Yeah.
So Leo, I'm telling you, it's that fucking EQ that fucked me, man.
Yeah. It's and there's no benefit to it over Primo though. There's no need to.
Well, I was using both.
Yeah, I know. But okay, so Frankenberry says, Leo, can you give us some kind of medical insight into the probable reason for Nick Walker's varicose veins? He seems way too young for varicose veins. Could it be a symptom of very bad circulation or something more serious?
This is a good question.
I thought the reason why I left it here was because I don't want to, it's not because I want to talk about Nick, but I thought I may have an idea about it. So I've been reading a lot about how like little capillaries and smaller veins can become bigger veins or become arteries. It's called like, there's a word for it in the medical terms. It's called like arterialization or something, how a small blood vessel can turn into a big blood vessel later in life. And how this usually happens is via a growth factor called vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF, which is downstream to growth hormone. So if you increase your growth hormone really highly, or you use something like BPC 157 or something like that, you can cause some blood vessels that are small that have a stress to them, like pressure or any kind of stress, to transform and become big blood vessels. So that's why I think potentially, maybe Nick, his whole family has varicose veins, but they're like small veins. But because he has this pressure and all the growth factors, he has some pressure on those little veins and they became big veins.
But don't you think you should probably get those removed?
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying like this, what the process is called angiogenesis.
You don't think there's any health risk?
I don't think that's the health risk. If you were to talk about the health risk is not what we see, but what we don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because what you don't see, not the superficial shit, is what about all the other blood vessels inside the body that have now developed other vessels or something's happening from them, you know? That's the question. Okay, I don't think it's superficial stuff.
I've heard of people getting blood clots with varicose veins. That's why it kind of worries me a little bit.
Oh, that's a good point too. The blood clot, that's a separate issue. Good point. But I think there's like a much bigger concern as this is like, if your blood vessels can grow that and develop like that, what else is growing? Because for example, what's the worst thing you can have for a cancer? This, angiogenesis, the birth of new blood vessels. If you have that going on in your body and you have a tiny little cancer, it'll get a lot of blood supply and grow.
If he was on a massive amount of GH and he had a little cancer in his body, it would spread faster.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're thinking. Yeah, so specifically like whatever caused those veins to grow would cause a cancer to get blood.
I hope those people though, you know, they have that Revive clinic and they have access to all the blood work. I hope they're doing labs like every month with him.
They should never let that happen again. They should do labs frequently and just scan everything. And we wish the best for him.
I mean, they got access to it. I mean, every month for a guy that at his level running those dosages, at least every month.
Exactly. Okay. So Gregor Meyer said, I heard Vigorous Steve talk about low dose tren while bulking. Any anecdotal evidence of people who grew well on cycle like that? Or is there nothing other than a cosmetic component that NPP instead couldn't give you? And without absence of estrogen, its IGF effects should be taken into consideration. I'd like to hear you talk about that because this and I don't know what he's talking about, but basically he's asking low dose trenbolone for, I couldn't tell it then, it got confusing, but low dose trenbolone off season. He says, is there value to that over NPP? Like, is there some kind of growth?
Anytime you add tren to your body, you're gonna Tren is the most powerful steroid in my opinion with like losing fat, gaining muscle, everything. So yes, I 100% would run tren at least once in your off-season cycle.
The question though is at what dose of tren do you think you grow the best off-season? Because you don't want to be like hyper-stimulated, right?
You don't want to take too much tren.
Not everybody, but I'm saying
you don't want to take too much tren because it's going to affect your digestion, your appetite.
And your sleep.
I would say starting off at 50 mgs every other day and slowly raising it to maybe 100 mgs every other day max in the off season. That's what I have my clients do. I have my clients do 50 mgs every other day for 2 weeks, 75 mgs every other day for 2 weeks, and then the last 2 weeks, 100 mgs every other day.
Good point. Hey, we've been here for an hour and a half. I think we have so many good questions, but I think we're going to record more during the week, so we'll take more questions. But I leave it on one personal question. So Troy Pange says, question, if Bostin didn't end up in bodybuilding, what else would he have done as a career? What else did he consider when growing up? Let's answer this, all of us. Yeah, well, I'm not in bodybuilding, but
that's a hard one for me because I was born in a bodybuilding gym with my parents.
Yeah.
I was born at shows. My mom competed every weekend when I was younger. I was at shows every weekend. I mean, I was in the gym from a very so bodybuilding is all I knew. So that's why I'm like, your parents kind of like engrave certain things into you personality wise. I'm like a perfect mix personality wise between my mom and my dad with certain things. But man, if it wasn't for bodybuilding, I don't know what would be going on with me, man. I really don't. I'd probably be working but you're saying no. Cause I was going to say I would be working at a gym, but, I really don't have any more hobbies. That's why
I'd be at a gym. Well, I wouldn't be bodybuilding, but I'd be at the gym.
Yeah, I would work at the gym. I would be like the towel boy. But I don't know, man. Without bodybuilding, I wouldn't be myself. Like that's why it affects me a little bit. Not now because I have a family, but I tell you what, if it wasn't for Ariel and Jackson and I had this kidney failure and I can only eat 1 or 2 a day and can barely train and I'm in the situation I'm in, I'd be really fucking upset. But I mean, thank God I have them because, you know, it makes things a lot better.
Let's comment on that briefly, man, because I've just started to know that feeling. But just for the audience to know, having a family that you love, a wife you love, and a kid you love, I mean, it's unbelievable how much resilience it can give you in life. Like Boston's facing all of this difficult psychological stuff, but his family support's so strong that you're pretty okay. You're doing well.
No, I'm doing good, man. Like for how shitty I look, I'm doing good. I'm not stressing how shitty I look in the mirror anymore like I used to. I was more obsessed with my body when I was in bodybuilding than I am now, if that makes sense. Like I'll go to the pool with my kids every day and jump in the pool. Like I don't give a shit.
No, I'm not going into any pools. I look ridiculous. I'm not doing that.
I stopped caring, man. It was the weirdest thing. I stopped caring.
That's a good thing. What about you? You've been an artist, Blue, huh? Blue, you would have been an artist?
Fully OCD with. Yeah, I would have been full OCD. I would have been a complete mental wreck and drawing 18, 24 hours a day. Yeah, it would have been bad.
Hey, Blue, you owe me a drawing, to be honest with you. You owe me a picture and a drawing. You owe me a lot of stuff, Blue. Yeah, speaking of that.
I did those sketches of your face, half of your face mutating and your glasses falling off where you're mutating into a lion. I did those light sketches. I did a few of them, a profile and a front. I need to just shape them up a little bit and send them over.
Okay. I'm very excited to see them. All right, Blue, listen. We might record again, I guess, before the Olympia, but we'll record very soon again. We'll continue off where we left off. All right, guys?
Yeah, I'll have Brent with me at my house, so we could do the post-show Friday night. That'll be good.
Yeah, we'll do that too. All right, Blue. Well, it was good catching up, Blue. It was good. We should have, I can't believe it's been so many weeks since we had you on, Blue. I didn't even notice. But anyway, it's good to catch up, Blue.
Oh, Blue, we got to do one of those coaching ones again.
Yeah, we have to. Exactly. People are asking about it.
I have some crazy ones. Bostin, you remember the one guy who contacted you, the one that factory left him the last week, just left him dry. I mean, there's been some pretty heavy ones.
But Blue, did you see the post that Fact made?
No, Fakhri contacted me, by the way. I didn't know about that, by the way, but what happened was Fakhri contacted me. I didn't talk to you guys about this. He contacted me couple of days ago. And he told me some background. He sent me some screenshots about it. So I'll tell you guys about it before we.
No, but what I'm saying is, Factory made a.
He quit.
He's no longer coaching.
Yeah, he quit. Yeah, we'll talk about that more in private. But there's a lot of interesting ones. I also have a caller for the first time.
But Leo, you already know what I think about him as a person now. You know.
Yeah, well, we'll talk more about it later. All right, guys. We'll end it for now. We'll talk in a couple of days.
Blue, I got to tell you that story. I need to call you.
Yeah, call Boston, call me right after this is over. Call me on the phone.
Okay, I'll call you.
All right. And you send me a lot of stuff, Blue. I'm waiting on them. All right, brother.